Welcome back to the Suit and Scrubs podcast, where business meets bedside. I'm Dan Haggerty, the guy in the suit, joined by three of the best home health PTs out there, Brendan Kirby, Lisa Thompson, and Dan Catuccio. Before we dive in, check out careandmotion.co for tools, tips, and products for anyone in home health. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to us. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell so you never miss an episode. All right, let's dive in. Well, welcome to a very special episode of the Care in Motion podcast, the Suit and Scrubs. This is a look back, talking about what we have been able to do over the last season. We've been through 25 episodes together, over 7,429 downloads, 785 minutes worth of discussion, and just really a huge season for us. And I think this episode, just thought it would be good for Brendan and I to kind of reflect on what kind of a journey we've been on since the two of us dreamed this crazy thing up a little over a year ago. So thanks for joining. And you're in the car today.
Yeah,
because you're a home health PT.
We got to take it to the car, right? I mean, I feel like we should always be recording in the car, but hey, maybe that's what we do in season 2. I just record from the car from now on. We all know about being mobile and being flexible, so that's what you have to do sometimes.
Absolutely.
But no, I mean, from our visions to kind of what's unraveled over the course of these 25 episodes, and even outside in our Care in Motion community and everything, it's really been amazing. I mean, some of the funniest things I think of are, how, Tracy flipped the script on us, and the PTA kind of leading the PTs on me, and when me and Dan were asking questions, she kind of was starting to ask us questions, to even, our whole safety one and things that I think about every single day. And, then there's even more that I'm like, wow, I never even thought about that. I've been doing this, almost for 10 years now. Like, how did I not even envision that? And then even, speaking to Josh and how, he came over, from acute care and ICU and other settings, and how passionate he feels about the home health setting. And I mean, I think the one that blew me away, one of the most was, a Facebook group that many people know about, and having her join us, the creator of that group. And, it's been, I don't know, more than I ever envisioned at this point in time. And, I'm excited for the future. Excited to have guests back on. But I mean, first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for joining us on this journey, and I can't wait to see it continue to grow, and to thank you, Dan, for sharing this vision with me, and we're trying to build this thing up.
Well, as the non-clinician dude, as we all joke about, I mean, I obviously couldn't have done this thing without you. So it's been quite a journey. I've learned a ton. So from my perspective, it's kind of like, coming into this thing from being on the business side and always looking at it from one perspective, and, sitting in, all of these meetings, at work, thinking about things from that perspective, and then spending my evenings with you guys getting the different perspective. I would say it's really been eye-opening, and I think I've really gained a real appreciation for a day. I mean, I'll never be able to duplicate it. Obviously I travel and spend time and kind of join along on visits with therapists, but hearing all of the thoughts and how you guys deal with a day in the life and everything else, I mean, it's a lot. And I have a whole new appreciation. I think I've taken a whole new appreciation into the other side of my world, where I look at things a lot differently now, because it's kind of through the view or the lens of that clinician, even though I am not personally one. So I have to thank you.
We can make you an honorary clinician. Honorary. We can put that title in there.
Like one of those honorary doctorates.
Exactly. We'll put that in for you.
I think it's cool to reflect back on the 25 different episodes. I mean, we started with our big why. I don't know if you remember that one. That would have been probably 30 weeks ago, because we've taken a couple weeks off during the summer. But the big why. I always like to say, start with why. It's a great book, Simon Sinek. Everything I do in business, I always try to start with why. And we started with why. And, that why is to create this central community, this central place, this kind of central hub for therapists, because there's nothing else out there. That's kind of why Care in Motion started.
And I think as we've developed on this journey, I mean, we've gotten that sense even more, right? We've gotten reassured by others. I mean, in other groups and other people joining our podcast saying, "Hey, I'm so happy I found this." You know what I mean? And I'm excited to continue to share that with people because I think it's truly one of a kind. And I definitely think it's something that's beneficial for any clinician, no matter how new or old you are in home health. So,
Yeah. I'm still amazed because, when I look back at how things have progressed over the course of the last year, it's one of those things where we thought, hey, there's nothing out there like Care in Motion. There's no hub for home health therapists. And most of those therapists that we were going after that we thought would need this were working for small kind of mom and pop agencies. And as we've gotten some of the comments that have come through on the podcast, or some of the interactions on social media, or some of the emails, the one thing that surprised me is how many big agencies are still not necessarily even providing that hub. So it does seem like every single therapist out there wants to be a part of some sort of a community that they can go to like this.
yeah, I feel it's kind of a reassurance for people, right? I mean, I think we've said it throughout many of our episodes that, home health can be lonely at times. And I think having like a support system that you have there no matter what, and it's there, can really, really be beneficial and powerful for many people and know that, hey, even if I don't feel comfortable asking it in this setting in my company or whatever, I have these people that are going to give me an honest and truthful answer here that are going to support me to help move forward. And I hope that we've raised some, people's perspectives, or, help them with decisions or negotiations or whatever. I mean, you look at Dan, Lisa, and myself with you as well, and our backgrounds, and just trying to provide insight and expertise. And that doesn't include any of our guests that we brought on too. And I mean, we're bringing in people. I mean, the thing that also I love, Dan, is that we've had people all across the country join us. I mean, from California to Pennsylvania to Texas to like it's been all across the United States. So this isn't just like in one sector of the country. It's all over. And I think it's really can be it's a great unifying thing for clinicians to have something like this. I mean, in addition to the Facebook groups and things like that, it's just, knowledge is power. And the more we have, the better it's going to be for everybody. And I think the more comfortable people will be, and the more, passionate they can be with the ever evolving changes of Medicare and, reimbursements and things like that. So,
Oh yeah. I, we moved on from the big why, and we tackled a ton of different topics over the course of the episodes.
yeah.
We talked about efficiency. We talked about optimization, optimizing your route. We talked about befriending your back office and how to become good friends with your scheduler so they can help you out. We talked about safety. We interviewed Trisha, who's in compliance, and talked about compliance, which I know is not everyone's favorite topic. We talked with Teresa Davis, who runs Accent Cares Hospice in Chicago, and talked about her journey from being a speech therapist into leadership and then hospice. We talked to two different nurses. We talked with a social worker. We talked with a police officer that guided us through safety. And then just between the four of us, we talked about careers. We talked about, how to make the most money. What's the difference in point system and in salary versus pay per visit versus PRN, and, putting together a couple of different gigs. You mentioned Tracy, the PTA that we said flip the script. And, originally we brought her on to talk about, how to manage how she feels, being supervised by a therapist, and how to manage care coordination and whatnot. And then she kind of took control of those 2 episodes. That was fun. We talked about, the social media journeys of Dan and Lisa as they've gained followers and, partnerships, and brought on Josh, the nurse. We had 2 different nurses, like I mentioned. What were some of your favorite episodes?
I really think the one for me that stands out the most was the Facebook collaboration group, just because, like, I mean, it's something that I've been a part of, I think, since I've gotten in PT school, and to see that person in real time and be able to ask like interactive questions to them, for me that was like, I don't know, like that celebrity moment type thing for me, where it's like, oh, I get to ask this person. I know other people. I mean, I know like Dan and Lisa felt that way with talking to Josh on our episode, that episode when we had Josh on too. So, but for me, like just being able to, see how they organize and coordinate things on there, and what questions they're being asked, and it gets me excited about what we're doing and how we can help support that and other organizations similar to that. And I think for the biggest thing is just continuing to push, and it just keeps my wheels turning about what else, what else can we do? What's stopping us from doing this next part, or this thing? So
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the celebrity piece when Minda came on from the collaboration group, because a little behind the scenes thing that I always kind of chuckle at is we've had so many guests come on, and then they'll see Dan, who they've probably been following, with his Rose impersonations over the course of the last few years, or they'll see, Lisa from the Home Health Chronicles. And I'll always remember, of course, this was before I clicked the record button, but Trisha Mathis came on, talk about compliance, and she's like, "Oh my God, I think I'm like starstruck right now. This is kind of crazy. Like, I see you guys all the time on, Facebook or Instagram, and now I'm sitting here talking with you. Like, this is like a weird celebrity moment for me." So
yeah,
I always chuckle that you've got like the home health celebrities.
it's funny because I even get comments from my peers and colleagues who listen, and they like, you know him? I'm like, yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, they're just Dan and Lisa to me, you know what I mean? But to these people, they're like, yeah. I'm like, yes, I know Rose. I know who Rose is. Like, I know.
Yeah, I know
So
Rose. Yeah, it was but I definitely agree with you. Like having Minda come on from that collaboration group. So we mentioned it, but if you didn't listen to the episode, one of the inspirations behind Care Emotion was that group. And we talked to Minda about it when she came on. But you and I were sitting here a year and a half ago, and I can't remember what I was asking you about, but you mentioned that group, and I joined it. And it was like every single day, it was like the same 15, 20, 25 questions we're getting. Maybe not every single day, but the same general themes are always being asked.
over the week or so, yeah. I mean, over
Yeah.
the week you were looking through it.
Yeah. And we're sitting here like, man, they're like these, these poor therapists don't like, no one's teaching this stuff in school. And everybody's coming to this like central community to understand like how, what everybody else's perspective is on this stuff. I can't believe that there's not like a central hub. So it was great to end the season the way that we started the vision of the company, in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, it was kind of an open and close moment. And I mean, I think that's why that was my favorite, because it's like the inspiration, the ideals behind, certain foundational pieces of what we were trying to build just were brought out, and it's just like, yeah, this is the why again. This is why
Yeah.
we're doing all this again. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe we can transition a little bit into the year for Care in Motion, because aside from the podcast, it's been kind of a cool year. If you think about a year and a half ago, nothing existed, and
no.
then we launched the website. I know you remember when we actually built. So our listeners probably don't realize this, but we built this community.
Right.
So there was a point in time when we were like, okay, what if we were to create like this online community that's sort of like the Facebook page, not obviously intended to duplicate it or replace it, but what if we created a place where all the therapists and assistants and eventually nurses and social workers, whatnot, could come together, join this community, and interact with each other, and really become like that hub. And I think we realized that you can't build a community without a brand. So that's when we shelved that and said, okay, let's launch the website.
Right.
Let's get some products to put on the website that everybody says they need. And
Mhm.
then let's figure out how to let people know that all this stuff is out there through the podcast and partnering with Dan and Lisa. So it's been a journey over the last year and a half.
Been a journey, and I mean it's been a pleasure to go through the ups and downs. I mean that's part of, I think, this whole process, right? Is having a vision and reworking that vision and building again and starting. And I mean, I don't know how many times I felt like you and I had to go back to the drawing board. And I mean, even now, this is just kind of a starting point for us, and I feel like we can springboard so many more ways, and other opportunities have kind of uncovered themselves as we've gone about this that we didn't even think about. I mean, many things we can do is bringing back other guests, adding more products and stuff, but I mean, it goes back to, again, I know this is kind of recap, but also a thank you to our listeners. I really, without your guys' insight or support, it's gonna give us some guidance about what you guys truly need, and we can really support that, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. I was Googling, just like podcast tips at some point along the way, because obviously none of us we're not like professional podcasters. And one of the things that it had said was, don't worry about the size of your audience when you look at a download. Think about, so we've had 70, 500 downloads. And it's like, if you're not happy with that number, think about the thought of speaking to 7,500 people in a room at once. Like, that's the
Right,
equivalent of it. I mean, it's
right,
a lot of people out there are listening to this thing, and sort of, whether it's, I know Tracy always said she gets caught up on the weekends when she's mowing her lawn. I know other people are obviously listening in their cars and whatnot, but
right.
there's a lot of people that are taking this in. And the cool part too is, once we launched the website, and I have to thank you for testing out all the products and then, getting them to Dan and Lisa. And there's actually a whole host of other folks that helped us through this process that gave us recommendations and feedback and whatnot, so that we could say, hey, these are clinician approved, right? But we've had hundreds of people that have gone onto the website and ordered, whether it's one of the bags or the trunk organizer or the stool, and given us ideas for our next line of product launches. So it's been crazy to see that, obviously, instead of going out on the, Facebook and saying, hey, anybody got a, bag to recommend, or how do you guys organize your trunk, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, this stuff's already here for you. It's clinician approved. It's clinician curated. It's been kind of fun to see that take off.
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to. I mean, I think it's great seeing not just myself, but like Dan and Lisa use it, and then having our followers start to buy these products and use these things themselves, and really get the benefit of them. And I mean, seeing the reviews and the appreciation from them. I mean, I know I keep saying it, but thanks goes a long way, and I know in home care, saying thank you to a friend, a manager, a colleague, even, but thank you to everybody in this community again, because
Yeah.
it's really helped make it what it is. And I mean, like I said, I'm just very thankful for where we're at this moment, and excited as we're getting ready for season two.
I do want to take a minute to tell everybody this is another behind the scenes thing, but something that happened with this trunk organizer, because this has become now the first custom product designed for home health. So let me, and I'll share how it happened. But I remember getting a call one day from Diane Murphy at Beata. And she said, well, she reached out to us on social media first. And of course we responded and said, thanks for reaching out. She said, I'd love to talk to you about, some of your products and your podcast and the company. And so I actually called her up, and she leads, I think, 100 or 200 or so preceptors for Beata in the Northeast, and I said, how did you hear about us? Just out of curiosity, because Beata, these large national home health agencies, for those of you that don't know, I think Beata has maybe 20,000 therapists across the country. And, obviously not necessarily our target, because we figured all of their therapists were sort of covered by whatever Beata was doing for them. And so Diane says, someone bought your trunk organizer, took a picture of it, sent it to their boss, who sent it to me. She's on the infection control committee at Beata, and said, can I use this in is this approved? And so she had a bunch of questions about the product. And so we started talking about it. And then she was telling me more about like what her role is in training preceptors for her other, non-infection control position.
Right.
And I said, we'd love to probably have you come join us on the podcast. We'd love to talk to you about, the proper way to onboard a clinician. So she joined us, and we continued the talks. And ultimately the committee said, we can't approve this trunk organizer the way it is, but if you created 2 separate compartments with 2 separate lids, we could approve it. And I said, well, we can do that. And, so I talked to the production partner that we have on that. And they said, yeah, we can do that. And sent the prototype to Diane. And she said, they like it, but they want to make sure that it's washable. And so, again, I talked to the partner, and they said, we can apply a waterproof spray onto the fabric, so this thing can be, the dirty side can be cleaned out.
Right.
And she said, approved. So now we have what I think is the first custom made trunk organizer / home health product that is designed for therapists. And I know the people that have used this thing love it, because they might have, all the stuff in their trunk rolling around, or they might have bins that are sliding back and forth. And this thing has a Velcro bottom, so it doesn't move. And now it's got, the 2 different sides. It's got the 2 different lids. It can be, cleaned out. So we should be receiving our first batch of these custom made products within the next probably 30 to 45 days by mid-November. And when we're ready to start shipping, I think this is going to be a big deal, because it's the first product custom made for all of you guys out there. And it's just the beginning, really.
It really speaks to kind of our evolution, you know what I mean? And kind of this whole first season for us, right? Building, getting insight, getting feedback, and continuing to grow with it. I mean, we had these foundational ideals, but like this is something that, you said Beata, it's one of the biggest organizations that I've known in home health, right? And that's awesome that we've been able to accomplish something like that, and continue to serve our community of clinicians by helping support a larger company like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, you and I mean, that's something that's kind of come about. We're curious of how we can help others, other companies, other brands continue to build and grow. And, if there's any opportunities, we're more than welcome to listen, and we'll make it work. We'll help you. We'll help our clinicians, because that's all we care about at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good kind of segue to what's next. I mean, we're going to start season 2. We're going to have more topics. We're going to revisit some stuff. We're going to have different guests. We're going to bring back some of the more popular ones. I can't wait to have Tracy back, so she can abuse you guys again as a PTA.
I'm going to be absent that one.
Like Brendan's like, I can't join tonight.
We'll let Lisa handle that one. We'll let her do it by herself that time.
Yeah. But we're going to have some new product launches. I mentioned the custom trunk organizer. We've got the Smoky House Kit coming. That should be that should be in the shop pretty soon. We're adding some email newsletters that'll be going out on a weekly basis. We're going to be actually at some different events that are happening around in the industry. And I don't want to say who yet, because we haven't wrapped it up, but we're working with one of the major EMRs, EHRs to on a partnership for that as well. So I've got some meetings this week where we're going to be talking to a couple of folks. So it's like, large national things are happening. It's kind of crazy.
Which again, I think goes back to you and I being like, yeah, this is more for the little guy, but at the end of the day, it's for everybody. I mean, I think we're seeing that more and more through and through, that this, you know, nothing's perfect and everyone needs a little help here or there with these. And, again, this community, that's what it's about, helping build this community, supporting the home health clinician, and hope just to make sure that you're surviving, making sure that you're not just surviving, but also being successful, on this
Yeah.
journey of as you're going through everything, and, just trying to help any way possible and hear your feedback and see what we can do to help culture and bring that together and get whatever it is you need, get it done. So
Yeah. Well, thanks, man, for everything that you've brought to the table, like your perspectives, your knowledge, your insight, your advice. It's just been great. I've appreciated this first year journey, and I can't wait to kick off the next chapter with you, and obviously Dan and Lisa and all the folks that are out there checking out our website, listening to the podcast, telling friends about it. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
yeah, right back to you. I mean, I appreciate you. I still remember the first phone call I got from you way back when, and this is behind the scenes too. And I have, Mr. Haggerty calling me on the phone saying, Brendan, do you think this will work? Do I think what will work? Do you think that there is a niche for this? Do you think? And I said, yeah. And I know we had a lot of ups and downs and everything in between, but I mean, like I said, looking back on this first year, I think this is exactly where we're meant to be. And, I'm excited for season 2 and seeing where this can take off. So.
Yeah. Well, if you're out there listening, we appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click that little bell. It'll notify you when a new episode comes out. Be sure to tell your friends and coworkers about us, and be sure to check out the website. If you go to careandmotion.co, don't go to com. We haven't bought that yet. Just go to careandmotion.co, and there's a lot that's there. There's a lot that we're adding, and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to check out, Dan Catuccio on Facebook and Instagram, and Lisa with Home Health Chronicles. And Brendan, you've got Just a Dad and a PT on Instagram. So a lot of different places to catch us. And we just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. From Dan and Lisa to Mr. Haggerty and everybody in between, and anybody who's ever listened or purchased the product or anything. I mean, honestly, this isn't without you guys, and that's what it's for, and that's what we want to continue to be here for. So,
yeah.
Thanks.
All right, bud. You're in your car. You better get to your first visit.
Gotta get going. Gotta keep that schedule.
All right. Have a good one.